All right, it's 3:15.
Good afternoon. We're so happy you were here to join us today. This is our last session for today. Some of you may have seen some of the other sessions, I don't know, but this is going to be our last and best, I promise. So my name is Shelley Smallwood, and I'm the Director of Innovative Learning.
And I'm Misha Daniel. I'm one of the specialists here in Innovative Learning.
And we hope that we're able to answer some of your questions today. I know many of you are feeling a little bit anxious about going back into the classroom with some students that are going to be face-to-face and some students that are remote. I know most of you have really mastered this remote learning stuff because so many of you have done such a great job with your students. I commend all of you. I feel like you all were thrown into something that you weren't expecting. But all of you came out shining because we all want what's best for our students, and teachers definitely want what's best for their students. And so if you are a little bit hesitant with technology, or you are someone that uses technology all the time, I feel like each and every one of you has stepped up and met the challenge.
Yes. And we're going to start today by looking at just a couple of short videos. There's actually 3 altogether. It's about 4 minutes total. And, now that we are going to have remote students and we're going to have in-house students, we're going to need to present to both of them. I think we've all mastered the technique of presenting to our virtual students through Google Meet. But what's that going to look like now when I have to have my Google Meet open and then I'm supposed to present to the kids that are in the class with me and to the ones online? What's that going to look like? Well, we're going to show you right now how to extend your screen or mirror your screen, depending on which one you're comfortable with, or which one's going to benefit you the most, on either a Mac or a PC device. And then we have another short video that's going to kind of cover the basics of what we're going to talk a little bit deeper about for the rest of our time here together. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next tab and start this at the beginning.
So one thing, if you'll notice, there is a link there for the Google, for our YouTube channel, and we will show that again in a bit. But these videos that you're going to be watching are all on our YouTube channel. And when we show it again, we are going to make sure that you are able to take a photo of it so you don't lose it.
It's going to take me back.
Sometimes technology doesn't work exactly the way we plan.
Welcome to extending and mirroring your Mac display. After you attach your Mac to either your projector or your ID, click on the black apple and go to System Preferences. Then click Displays. Another way to get there would be go to the AirPlay icon and click on Open Display Settings. Once you're here, go to Arrangement. Now, this display is mirrored, which means what is on my computer screen is on my ID or off of my projector. If I uncheck it, then I'm going to have an extended screen. In this way, my big display will be on one screen, which is this one, and my other window will be what's on my computer screen. And notice I can move it back and forth between the 2 screens. Here's what it looks like in real time. On my ID, you'll notice there's my window floating around, but you don't see it on my computer screen. There it is. Now I can move it back to my other screen, which is my display. That's an extended display. If I want a mirrored display, I click the checkbox, and now what is on my computer screen is exactly the same thing that will appear on my big display. I even have the option to change the size of the text and the size of the window when using the mirrored display. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to mirroring and extending your PC display. First, start by clicking the Windows button and the P at the same time. Now you will get a menu on how you want to display your screen. You can duplicate or extend. Let's start with duplicate. Duplicate is the same as mirror, so what you see here on my Windows screen, you will see on the big screen. If I extend my screen, it's like I'm giving myself two monitors. So here on my big ID, you're going to see that I have two windows and one of them I'm moving around. But take a look at my laptop screen. You do not see those windows until I move it over. There it is. That is an extended screen. I'm going to move it back over to the ID. And that is the process for duplicating or extending your screen on a Windows machine. Thank you for watching. Welcome to teaching in a face-to-face and a virtual classroom simultaneously. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my screen so I can project some of this to all of my students. This is what I'm presenting to everyone. And on my screen, this is how I'm going to monitor my meet with my virtual students. There are my virtual students. In my physical classroom, I need to make sure that I'm interacting with all of my students, but still keeping my distance, whether it is something that is online or hands-on. I also need to make sure that I am including my virtual students in everything that we are doing. Just checking in on you guys, making sure you're okay. If I have a projector versus an interactive board, my setup is going to be the same. On the big screen, I will be presenting to all of my students, both virtually and physically in the classroom. On my computer screen, I will have my Meet where I can monitor my students who are there virtually. You'll notice on my computer screen here that I do have my Meet going. And again, I have extended my screen. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so there we go. And now we know how to extend our screen, to what the difference is between mirroring our screen and having that extending your screen out can be very helpful to what I'm presenting to my students and what I need to see from my students on their Meet. And question comes up, well, maybe my kids want to see the other students that are in the Meet. Switch those screens out so that way you show the Meet to all of your students, and then you have your other screen down below. So you can do it a ton of different ways.
And if you'll notice, you do have the link at the bottom of the screen here to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
It's bit.ly/YISDtube. If you would like to rewatch any of these, you can always go there and actually set your computer up to do this. One thing that we want you to be aware of is being able to extend your screen allows you to present not only to your remote students, it allows you to present to your face-to-face students the same lesson or the same mini lesson or whatever it is that you are doing. It's important to note that being able to do this means that you don't really have to create two different lesson plans. You can use the same Google Classroom, whether a student is face-to-face or remote, their assignments should still be in the Google Classroom. And by extending the screen, you'll be able to present that lesson or lessons to both groups of kids. There is even a way that you can have virtual collaborative groups, and we will talk about that in a little while, but we are going to go ahead and move forward. Remember, if you have any questions, go to bit.ly/YISD questions.
All right, and it's just a real simple Google form, and you just put your question in there. All right, so what we're going to do now is, now that we kind of have a basics of what it may look like, we're actually going to look at a lesson. Now, our intent for this presentation was to have you actually in a Google Meet, as like a student would see it, and so you can kind of get an idea of what it would look like, you know, with being a virtual student as opposed to seeing what the physical students, where we were going to have physical students, but Google Meet only allows for 250 people. And in this one, I know we're somewhere over 400. We could not keep them open long enough for people to register. We had people calling us and I need to register and I'm on the waiting list and I hope I can get in. And it was like, oh my gosh. So we had to really open it up. So we have to stream this, which means that we couldn't give you that Google Meet experience. So we recorded it so that way you could kind of see what it would look like.
And the good news is your ITS teacher will be providing this training for you face-to-face when you return October the 5th. They are going to give you an experience, let you be part of the face-to-face remote classroom so that you can see exactly how it works, exactly what it looks like, exactly what it feels like. So this is just kind of a getting your feet wet, but your ITS teacher is going to give you the bigger picture. I suppose we're giving you the bigger picture. They're going to give you a little bit more of the specifics. And what you're also going to be able to do is go back to your classroom and practice. Really, it's going to be about practicing your skills in extending your screen and dragging your windows over and making sure your mouse is on the screen that you're using and so forth. But those things, you'll be a master at that in no time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute this mic again, and we're going to go ahead and get this started. Make sure that I am on the right tab here. Here we go. All right.
All right. Well, nice to see everybody this morning. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing okay? My virtual students? You want to say hi to your fellow classmates? Here we go. Say hi, everybody. Go ahead and unmute your mic and say hello.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
All right. Well, I hope everybody had their breakfast and their Wheaties today, ready to go. All right, so this morning we're going to talk a little bit about some of our rules in our classroom. First and foremost, we need to make sure that we keep those mics muted. I know we say it every day, but we got to keep those mics muted unless you have a question. If you have a question, we're going to ask you to put it in the chat. And this time it's going to be Mr. Eric who's going to be our moderator. He's going to keep track of that chat. If there's somebody who asks a question, would you please let me know? Or if there's something that's going a little crazy, would you please let me know about that as well? Sometimes I might not be able to see everything. So I need another pair of eyes here. Okay? If you're at home and I call on you, you're going to need to unmute your mic because I might be asking you a question, making sure that you're staying with us. You're going to need to unmute your mic, answer the question, and then of course mute that mic. Can you all do that for me? Can I get a thumbs up? Yes? All right. Everybody can hear me just fine. Okay, good, good. And how are we doing out here? Class, my big class that I got here today.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. Can we
talk whenever we want to, or do we
No, we need to keep our room kind of quiet. And the reason we need to keep our room kind of quiet is because it's hard for me to hear our virtual students and you at the same time. And plus, all of the noise that we have in here goes right inside the speaker, and then they hear it really, really loud. So we need to make sure we kind of keep everything quiet. If you have a question, what should you do? You should probably raise your hand, right? And you'll say, ooh, 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 Miss Daniel, I have an answer. Let me come over to you, and we'll have our social distance, but I can come over towards you, and then you can give me the answer to your question. All right, does everybody understand? Can I see a thumbs up? All right, awesome.
Okay, there was our opening of the day, and I want you to notice that, you know, we made sure to include our virtual students in there as well as our physical students that were in the classroom. We tried to make sure everybody understood what the rules were about asking questions, and that's going to be really imperative.
Yes, it is. I know that all of you have set expectations for your students as far as being remote, but now you're going to have to go back and revisit those expectations, those routines, those procedures, because it's going to be a little bit different. Your students in class, they may be more talkative, and if that's the case, then those people that are remote, it'll be chaotic for them. They won't be able to hear what's happening. They won't be able to hear anything except a jumble of voices. And so it's important that your students that are face-to-face understand that they must not speak unless they're asked to speak. And by the same token, those students that are remote need to realize that their microphones are muted and that they need to ask questions through the chat feature. We recommend that you have a moderator so that one student in your face-to-face class is logged into the Google Meet. Now, what does that mean for all the rest of your students? The rest of them should not be logged into the Google Meet. And we're going to see some more about this later on. But that one student that's the moderator and can watch and make sure that questions are addressed and that the teacher doesn't miss it. But I think Miss Misha here used to be a first grade teacher. And I know some of you are going, oh, my first graders can't do that.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to ask about a really, because, first graders, they ask really long questions sometimes, right? So, and they're not going to be able to put all that into the chat. And I'm right there with you. So one of the things that I would do as a first grade teacher, I would say, okay, class, we're going to show you where the chat is. And I'd show them where that chat icon is. I might regret it later, but I'm going to show them where it is. So I click on it. And then I'm going to say, okay, question starts with the letter Q. So I want everybody to find the Q on your keyboard. Now, some of them are going to find it super fast and some of them are going to take a little more time, but they're all going to hit that Q and hit that return button. And that's how they can ask a question, by putting that Q in there. And then I would still have one question or one kid in my class, and I go, Alex, okay, you're going to be my moderator today, Alex. And what I want you to do is I want you to kind of watch that chat. And if you see one of our students type a Q, you need to let me know. But you know what? It's probably going to be all my kids are going to do that, because as soon as they see it come up in the chat, and that's cool. That's fine, because that's going to really help me as a teacher, right? So what about my pre-K and my kinder kids who might still be struggling with that keyboard a little bit? What about a piece of colored paper? I mean, even if something as small as a Post-it note, I mean, if you're waving that enough, or your teacher's going to be able to see it, or they could make it. They could take a piece of just regular old printer paper and take a crayon to it or a marker to it and color it up, make it look fancy, and then they could hold that up to get your attention, to let you know they either have a question, maybe they have a comment, maybe they just need to walk away for a minute or two. We all need to do that from time to time. So that would just be a way that we can make sure that everybody has the ability to ask those questions or to say what they need to say, by still keeping that mic muted when it needs to be muted. Because once again, we can't have everybody talking. As all of you know, when we've been in a Google Meet, and all of you have, when you have a few people talking, it gets just really hard to hear, and you can't hear anybody. And then it's like somebody might have said something very profound and you will miss it. So we want to make sure that we take the opportunity to set those standards first thing. And I would do this every morning. I just go through it. Well, okay, remember, if you've got that mic out there and you're out in virtual land, you got to make sure that you raise your hand. Let me know that you're out there, Miss Pre-K, Kinder, or first grade. Type in that Q. Or if you're a little bit older, you can type out that question, and we've got our moderators here to take care of that.
And I know you all are creative, and your PLCs or your grade levels may come up with something ingenious.
Yeah.
And if that's something, if you already have another idea that will work for your students, then by all means.
Yeah. Believe me, these aren't the greatest ideas in the world. These are just things that we just happened to think about when we were putting this training together. All right, well, we're going to move on to our next piece now. So I'm going to mute this mic, and we're going to let the video take it away.
So we don't want everybody in the classroom to be on the Google Meet.
No.
We might have one student who's our moderator be on the Google Meet, and everybody is following along if we're doing something digitally on that web page or on that resource. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Does that make a lot of sense to my virtual friends? Thumbs up. Did you get that? We don't want all of our students who are in the classroom to be on the Google Meet, because that's gonna really wear down the network, and then we may have kids that are dropping, and then that won't be good for anybody, including the teacher. The teacher could drop too. We don't want that to happen, okay? Via the Google Classroom or the online resource. I think we've covered all of the steps for questions. We have the face-to-face, and that's pretty much standard that our students should raise their hand. They shouldn't talk out. And of course, with this COVID stuff, we want to make sure that everybody stays in their seats because we don't need anybody getting up, touching somebody else's desk, and then we're having an issue. So that's very, very important. Okay. One person should be talking at a time, which we know because of our microphone situation in here. All right, and we have a combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning. Okay, who can tell me the difference between synchronous and asynchronous? Anybody? Oh, okay, let's see. I see a couple hands in here. Sabina, what is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous?
Synchronous is when the teacher is leading and everybody's doing work at the same time, expected. And then asynchronous, the child has more autonomy and they're able to accomplish the activities at their own pace.
Oh, that was a perfect answer. I wish I could give you a sticker. That was so awesome that how you answered that. Yay, yes, I love that from Larry. Yay, that was great. Yes. And if I think about it like, Larry's got me always thinking about Nearpod now. If I'm thinking about Nearpod, synchronous would be like the live lesson, and asynchronous would be like the student-paced lesson, right? When we have student-paced work. Should we be giving both of those to our students? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, yes.
All right. Well, you heard me say about that Meet situation, and I know Shelley touched on this about the Google Meet having just one or two of your students within that Google Meet. Now, again, if we've kind of talked about this a little bit, we've done this a few times, so I'm hoping I want to make sure that we've talked about it. So I'm going to go over it one more time. That if you've got children with special needs that are in your classroom, or that might require them to get onto that Google Meet, by all means, we're not saying we don't want anybody on the Google Meet. We just don't want everybody who is in the physical classroom to be on that Google Meet because it's kind of like redundancy. I'm seeing my teacher in front of me, and there's always a delay too. And if those kids are trying to hear me and they're listening to me on the Meet, they're going to get that echoey stuff, and it's not going to be good for anybody. So we're really recommending, just for bandwidth purposes, you heard me say that teachers could get dropped, and we don't want our students to get dropped. So we're just trying to avoid that. But also we want to give our kids the best experience that we possibly can. And just having them sit there in the Google Meet that would not be the best experience just for them to have when they've got me as a teacher there that can provide them with other things.
Exactly. Very good. All right. So one thing that we have to be comfortable with is just being able to be a little bit flexible with our kids. And, if they absolutely need to be on that Meet and that is more helpful, then that's what you need to do. But most of them, I agree, don't need to be on that Meet.
Yes. Okay, our next section here is about answering questions, and you're going to hear me address some questions both in the actual physical classroom and in the virtual classroom. Once again, I'm going to mute this mic.
There are two other things in the chat for you, Ms. Daniel.
Okay. One is, how far is Larry from the speaker? I would say he's probably, about 12, 15 feet?
That's about right.
Yes. Yes. Is he coming in clear? Is Larry coming in clear? You were able to hear him? Yes. All right, Larry, you're using your teacher voice. Awesome.
Yes, we are, Ms. Daniels.
All right. I am so glad to hear that. And the other question was from Martha. I would love to be able to see everyone in my class, not just the virtual students. So you can't see everybody in the classroom? No? You know what? Why can't you see everybody in the classroom?
Like, for example, I can't see Larry. I see Eric, but I can't see Larry.
Larry's kind of off camera just a little ways over that way. Maybe if I turn it just a little bit, maybe do a little bit. The dividers make it hard. Yeah, the dividers do make it a little bit hard, but we need to have those to keep everybody safe. And I'm sorry we can't see everybody. And we're doing the best that we can. At least we kind of have a little window in the front, kind of, sort of. They're waving at you right now. They really are.
Technically, you can see their screen, but yes, not in the class, but you can see their screen. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I like those headphones, by the way, Miguel. Those are very nice. I like them. Very cool. Very cool. That way we can hear questions. Every student can hear the questions. Every student can answer. You know, of course, not all at the same time. We do have to follow those rules, but that's what our speaker is for. So that way we're all feeling a part of the classroom. Do you all feel a part of the classroom, my virtual students? Do you all feel a part of the classroom, my physical students, I should say? All right, because that's really important that we're all together in this, okay?
All right. I heard something about a speaker on there, Shelley.
I did hear that.
What
You're
was
right.
that? That's what our speaker is for. What is that about?
All right. So in order to make this the most successful, what we have recommended is that teachers receive a omnidirectional speaker and microphone, one that is both a speaker and a microphone. And what this does is you can set it in the center of the classroom. The one that we're looking at has a 10-foot radius all the way around it. So anything that is said within 10 feet, even at a whisper, will be picked up by that microphone, that speaker microphone. And if you happen to be outside that 10-foot radius, which most classrooms are not larger than that, or not much larger anyway, you'll be able to speak up a little bit, and that speaker will be able to pick up your voice as well. The speaker microphone is wireless, and it connects directly to the computer, so that if students are remote, they can speak and it will come out of that speaker microphone. And those students that are face-to-face, it will also use that same speaker microphone. That way, both groups can hear one another. And that's why it's so important to make sure that kids in the physical classroom are keeping their voices down or not speaking unless being asked to speak, and those in the virtual classroom have their mics muted. So here's what's happening is we are hopeful that we will be able to get one of those speakers for each of our teachers, so that your experience will be better. It's not 100%, of course, because nothing's 100%. Things are very slow moving right now due to COVID, which I'm sure you're aware of. It's not easy to get equipment that we're trying to purchase or would like to purchase. So if that happens, it's going to make a big difference for you, and we will definitely keep you in touch, or keep in touch with you to let you know.
And as far as the speaker that we are using for this presentation, of course, we did not have that speaker that we have been looking at. We got the demo actually today, and we've been kind of testing it out. From what I understand, I haven't had a chance to hear it yet, but I hear that it is really, really awesome. So
much better.
Yes, the speaker that we used there was not does not have the quality that the speaker that we hopefully will be purchasing. So just think about that. I know that the room is echoey that we were in. We were in the Sierra room, and it's a large room.
Yes.
And of course, so your classroom isn't going to be as large, and you're not going to have as much echoey. The floor, there's no carpet on the floor. Of course, in our classrooms, we have tile, but we do have some soft areas in our classroom. I know they're trying to like cover all of those up and everything, but you have a little more acoustics in there than what we have in the Sierra room, so the sound will be a lot better. And then plus it's going to be an awesome microphone speaker, so you'll be able to hear it and speak through it a lot clearer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right, we're ready to move on to our next piece here. Again, I'm going to mute this mic. Here we go.
Does that make sense for everybody? Are there any other questions or comments? While we're at a stopping point, we're all good. I see a lot of thumbs up. I see thumbs up in here with my physical students. How about my virtual students? So if we have a thumbs up, we're good?
It looked really good. But once you're in the meeting, that image is cropped. So teachers, before they start planning their room and showing the camera to see what they see, they got to join the actual meet to see where their image is going to be cropped. And I'm turning off my grid view fix, and then I pin your laptop camera. Now I can see everybody.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about changing your layout. Now, this part here doesn't have any sound to it, so I'm gonna walk you through it as we go. So here we go. So to start with, we go to the lower right corner where the 3 dots are. Click on that, and you're going to go to Change Layout. And I recommend you do this for your students too. Once you change the layout, I'm at automatic layout right now, so I'm going to change it to the tile layout here. And right now we have 16. In another week or so, we should have it at 49.
We'll be able to have 49 people in the class and see them all.
And you notice that little icon there that I clicked on. I was actually added to the tile view, and now I'm going to pin Shelly here. And now I see Shelly because I pinned her, which I recommend for your students as well. So you can add yourself to the tile layout, and you can also pin your teacher to the layout. And that's really, really important. So I know a lot of us have that grid view fix. I am super guilty. I have it as well. And as of this afternoon, I will be deleting it from my Google Meet because it is way better to use the ones that are in Google. To use the tiled layout that's in Google, and you're going to go, wait, no, but I want to see everybody. And I'm going to say, yes, okay, I understand that. And right now we're at 16 where we can see 16 at the same time. Like I said, within another week or so, we're going to have all the way up to 49 that we can see. But what you see when you just use the regular grid that Google has, not the grid view fix, but just the one that's actually in the Google Meet, you're going to see a much larger image. You're going to see a much clearer image. Your Google Meet is going to go a little bit more fluidly and smoothly. You may not have as much choppiness. And to me, that's more important than me being able to see just exactly every single person that's in the Meet with me. I'm gonna do that. I made a promise earlier I'm gonna do it, and I am gonna do it because I do love my grid view fix. But I am ready to move on from it if it's gonna make my Google Meet experience better for not only myself but for my students.
And one thing I would like to just touch on briefly are the extensions that we add to our Google Meets.
Yes.
There are some great extensions out there, some really well-planned, well-thought out, and well-made extensions, but they're not all equal. It depends on who the programmer is. It depends on who created it. Some are better than others. What you'll find is sometimes you'll add an extension and then the next day something's not working. It's not doing what you expect it to do, or something totally unrelated to that extension may not be working. But what we found is sometimes these extensions cause problems and they need to be removed. We should have as few extensions as possible, and we need to make sure that they really are working as expected and not causing any other problems. That's one of the things that we request when we hear that a student is having any issues with their Chromebook. The first thing we suggest is to remove all the extensions that they have. And kids will download extensions like nobody's business because they find this cool thing or that cool thing or whatever. And then pretty soon their Google Meet and everything else is not working well. And so make sure that you are very you just don't use every extension that you think might be cool. Make sure you use only those that you absolutely need, and make sure they're working well before you keep them. And
there are a lot of good extensions out there, but as far as the Google Meet extensions, especially in this remote teaching time, I would tend to stay away from them unless you know, somebody like from Innovative Learning has put something out, you know, and which you know we've done before. But if we're recommending that you should take one off, I highly recommend you take it off. So, and I'm taking off my grid view fix as of today. All right, we're going to get into independent work now. What you're going to see in this piece of the video is you're going to hear me say step away a lot of times. You're going to hear me say, yes, these couple of students stepped away. You can step away and complete your work. And I know right now I've got teachers that are going, oh no, no way. I'm not doing that. Let me assure you that it is okay for your students to step away for a little while. We all need a break, right? I mean, every single one of us needs to take a break from time to time, but it's also important for them to have some time for them to be responsible for their own work that they do, because we do give independent work regardless of what age level our students are. Whether we're pre-K, they have independent work all the way through 12th grade. So we want to give them that time to do it. So in this piece of the video, you're going to hear me give some instructions, and then you're going to see me just kind of walk around, and I'm going to go check on my virtual students to make sure, and you'll hear me say that they have stepped away. So I'm going to let this video run. I'm going to go ahead and mute this for just a second.
I'll be here to answer any questions. Just leave it open. And then students can pop back in, because we want them to be able to step away. We've already talked about that, giving the kids a break, right? We all need a break from time to time. And giving them that opportunity to walk away, but then if they have questions, they can always come back. That's super important. And this is another really important thing, that teachers should reset the Meet link.
All right, and right here, I'm actually walking around. You can't see me. I'm down one of the other rows, and I'm just walking, keeping my distance, but I'm actually checking up on my students, answering any questions that they might have, just checking to make sure that they're on task. You know, the normal facilitator, teacher things that we do. There I am, going down the rows that we have tried so hard to move away from, but now we're back due to this COVID thing, and where everybody has their own space. And I'm going to walk down another row here, and you're going to see me kind of come back, and I'm going to actually talk to my virtual students here in just a moment again. And here I come, and I think, let me go ahead and mute the mic here. Hang on.
Between 3 and 4 sentences to describe that.
Thank you.
And if you need to step away to do this, you are more than welcome to, but we have about 15 minutes before everybody is due back. So please make sure you come right back. You know, a couple people who have stepped away. And I am trusting they will come back.
Miss, my internet went down. I just came back. Can you tell me what's going on?
Okay, yes, sir. I will tell you what's going on. We have a group of students that are working collaboratively, but you're one of my independent workers today, and you have about 10 minutes. That you're going to write between 3 and 5 sentences why the Declaration of Independence is the most important document in our history.
Here on the chat?
You're going to do that on a Google document, sir. Google document?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And where do I turn it in, Miss?
We're going to turn it into our Google Classroom. All right. Then who has an...
All right. So as you can see, we have to answer those questions sometimes about where we're going to turn things in and what are we going to write them on. But again, we had that opportunity to step away. You probably heard something about you're doing some independent work, but we have some other students that are working in a collaborative group. What is that about, Shelley?
Right. You know, obviously, we can't ask students to sit at a table 2 feet apart and work on something as a group. But we don't want to lose that ability to allow students to collaborate. So what we're doing is we are calling this virtual collaboration. You can ask, let's say there are students that are face-to-face. You can have 2 of the students that are face-to-face log into a Google Meet along with 2 or 3 students that are virtual. Log into the same Google Meet. The teacher has that Meet open on another tab. The 4 or 5 students log into that Google Meet, and they can collaborate on a project. They can collaborate on a Google Doc. They can collaborate on some slides. They can do some research together. They can have a discussion, you know, whatever it is that you're asking them to collaborate on, they can do that within a Google Meet. Now, that way, students are not too close to one another. They're still able to social distance. Everybody is safe, but they still get that ability to be able to discuss and work together. And I'll tell you right now, our kids are craving that. They are craving the interaction that they're not getting from their friends and from other kids their own age. And so virtual collaborative groups are something that hopefully you will consider using. It will allow students to think, give them an open-ended question, give them an assignment to work on together, whatever it is, but give them that opportunity.
Absolutely. Again, they are craving that. They've been away from their friends for so long. And some of them, you know, they're just itching to go back to school. And I know that, you know, I know as the little guys, you know, they love to go back to school. And some of our bigger kids are just like, oh, gee, here we go, school again. But even our big kids are looking forward to going back to school. I know my kids are. And they every day I come home, they ask me, okay, so we're still going back, right? We're still going, because they keep thinking I'm going to know something. Of course, I'm not. But, you know, as of right now, everything is on track for October 19th. And we want to make sure that they're all excited and they want to talk to their friends. And I know it's oh wait, they're gonna have a discussion with one another in a Google Meet. Oh my gosh. Well, we all were on the phone at one time and nobody was listening. Well, maybe a little brother or sister might have been listening, you know, but our parents, you know, would kind of give us that. And we need to give our kids that trust, you know, trust them to come back after they walk away for a few minutes working on an assignment, and trust them to have conversations with other kids. Because right now, I'm sorry, but they so need this. We all crave this and want this and need this. And every time I see my colleagues, I'm like, oh yay, I get to see them today. Because, you know, it's been so long since see them on a TV screen, but that's not going to help anything. You know, it's a lot different. A little
bit different. That's true.
All right, we've got one last part here. And if you're looking at your screen, you're seeing me stand in front of a whiteboard. Wait, this is about tech, right? Well, not everything is about the high tech stuff. We're going to actually do some low tech now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this mic off again and run this little piece of video.
An idea of why the Declaration of Independence is so important to us. Yes, sir.
It was stolen in the movie National Treasure.
Now that's a movie, Mr. Eric. That's a movie. Why is it an important document for us? What did it allow us to do? Anybody? Oh, yes, Martha, thank you.
It allowed us to have our freedom.
All right, so I'm going to put here freedom. Can you see that? Can you see this, or is it too far away? Yes, you can see it. All right, great. Thank you so much, Martha. I'm actually going to put M here for Martha. So I don't have to go high tech. I can still go low tech, right? I can still write on a whiteboard if I want to. If I wanted to go high tech, I could. I could have a document open. I could do a digital whiteboard that I could draw on. But I can still use the things that I've always used. I can still use go low tech, and still that you're able to see it. You're able to see it really clearly. Is everything good there for my virtual students? Or not really. Let me know. Yes? Okay, lots of thumbs up, lots of thumbs up. Lots of thumbs up.
Keep going.
All right, lots of thumbs up there. That is pretty clear in that picture.
It sure is. And, you know, some of us are more comfortable using our whiteboards. Some of us have some anchor charts that you want to share with kids. There may be things, you know, I see over here calendar math. That might be something that you're doing with your younger students, and you want to do it on a whiteboard, or you want to do it with a calendar, you know, whatever that looks like for you. And so we're not saying that you can never do this. You absolutely can. Students that are face-to-face obviously can see that whiteboard, and students that are virtual can see that whiteboard as well. There's just a couple of things that you may want to consider. What do you think, Misha?
Well, first of all, you want to consider the lighting, like where the board is. We're looking at doing this with some other white boards that we had in the Sierra room, but they were like at an angle and the light was shining on them and you really couldn't see what I was writing on the board. And we thought, okay, that's not going to work, because if the camera's going to pick it up, it's got to be flat and I've got to be able to see it. And also my marker, I need to make sure my markers are working right. If I've got marker that's kind of starting to go out a little bit, of course, it's not going to be a deep dark color and it might not come through that camera the way I want it to. So make sure that you're using a really good marker. And again, that it's not at an angle, that you don't have any glare, because that can cause some issues there. And just make sure like the angle of your computer. Again, we don't want to have our back to the students, and that does bother me at that beginning of that video, the very beginning, where I do kind of have my back to some of those students when I'm talking to my virtual group. I should have turned my computer screen around and a little bit more to make myself a little more open for both my virtual and my physical students, and I'm aware of that now. But again, this is a learning time, and this is like the best time for us to practice this stuff, because we're making this stuff up as we go along, which means, it's time to just try stuff. And if it doesn't work, it's going to be okay. No one's going to go, oh yeah, let me mark that one off on the chart for Mrs. Daniels. Another fail. No one's going to keep track and keep score on us. If anything, if I have a lot of fails, then I have a lot of wins for me, because that means that I am learning. And believe me, I have a lot of fails.
And failures are opportunities. They are opportunities for you to figure out what doesn't work and for you to move toward what does work. And so we recognize that sometimes this isn't going to be great. You may be trying to do a whiteboard, and I can guarantee you your kids that are virtual are going to say, we can't see that. We don't know what you're writing. They're going to let you know. You know how kids are. They're very honest. And if they tell you that, then okay, then we'll move it a little more, or we'll move you closer, or I'll use a better marker. There are all kinds of things, and kids are going to let us know if they're able to be successful or not. We all have those kids. And so if something is not working, then you learn from it, you move on.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I will say, I know we're giving you a lot of information today, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, how am I going to remember like where my camera is and how to get the whiteboard set up and remember a long time ago. Well, it was a long time ago for me. It may not be a long time ago for you, but for me, because I'm old. When I was learning how to drive, and I'm getting ready to go through that with my own children now. But you have to remember that I gotta look at the mirror, and I gotta make sure that I'm taking care of the steering wheel, and if you have to gear shift, if all of those things that you have to think about when you're first learning how to drive, and it's scary, and you're trying to remember all that and keep your eyes on the road and figure out what everybody else is doing. But now you get in the car, you don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. It's automatic. That's what's going to happen with this too. You're going to know exactly, once you figure out where your camera needs to go, your computer, it's going to go there. Once you figure out, oh, here's where I need to put my whiteboard. Oh, here's how I want to have, whatever it is that you're going to display for your students, and you're going to get really good at extending and mirroring your image that's on your computer. You're going to become pros at this in no time, and you're not even going to think about it. You're just going to do it, and it's going to be like just when you learned how to drive. It takes a little while to get it all down, but once you do, then you're a pro.
And the best part about this is we're really not asking you to use anything different than you've already been using. You're going to use your computer. You're going to use the camera built into your computer. The only difference is you're going to be extending your screen so that your face-to-face students can see it. But you have been mirroring it in the past, I'm sure, showing students in a face-to-face situation what the lesson is. So now you're just going to extend it. You're going to kind of marry what you were doing virtually with what you were doing face-to-face. And the speaker may be something a little bit different, but you've all used speakers. You've all used them. This particular speaker just happens to be a much better one. And so you guys are not going to be doing anything different than you've already been doing. It's going to be great. You guys are going to be great. Again, I commend you for all of the work that you have put in personally, and everything that you have been doing for our students. It is greatly appreciated by parents, by families, and certainly by us as well.
Yes.
So thank you all so much for that. Now, here is the link again for the questions. If you have any questions, please go to that link. It's just a very simple Google form. Go to that link, enter your question. We will get back to you by Monday, and we will send out the answers to all these questions to everybody that is registered. If you would like to go back and watch the videos on how to extend my MacBook, or how to extend my screen on my Windows machine, then those are found at bit.ly/YISDtube. There are lots of other videos and playlists there for you as well.
Yes.
Lots of great information. You may lose yourself in there if you're not careful. And so I want to thank you again for being here. We, again, appreciate everything that you do.
Yes, and have a wonderful weekend, and just don't stress about this, because you know what? We're all in this together, and we're all moving forward.
That's right. So make sure you take a photo of these 2 links.
Yes.
You'll forget them the moment you turn around. I'm going to give you 10, 9, 2, 1. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.